I've taken my brother's cemetery plots. They won't know until one of them dies.
My mother never shared the details of her will with me or anyone in the family. When she died, we all learned she had made me executor of her will. My two brothers were very upset that their little sister, who has an MBA and a solid family life, was picked over them. Neither of them finished college, and one is an invalid who hasn't left his house in years. Mum left her house to the two brothers with the instructions that I sell the house valued at around $250,000 and divide the money between them. All her cash was to be divided between the heirs. Her other property was a small vacation home where her and my dead sister's ashes would be scattered. She left it to me and my dead sister's children. 30 or so years earlier, one of the brothers had told her he wanted to build his own cabin, so she deeded him an adjoining lot. When she died, it was still an empty lot. He convinced one of my nieces to sell him her share of the cabin for $1 and not tell any of the heirs before the paperwork was signed. The only way I found out was because he posted on Facebook, "I'm now a proud partial owner of my family's mountain cabin. According to my lawyer, no one can keep me out of it." We aren't friends on Facebook, but some mutual relatives are, and they alerted me to what had happened. In the state we live in, even a fractional ownership allows the partial owners to enter the property anytime without restrictions. There were some very ugly emails between him and my niece when she tried to get the property back, and he admitted he did this out of spite to hurt me and make sure my family and I didn't get to enjoy the property. Brother Hash 2 had emailed my niece several times and told her he was so proud of her for selling to her uncle, and he'd never seen his brother so happy. Mum's will was written so that the estate would retain ownership of all property, including real estate, until the probate process was completed. Brother didn't understand that and thought he would have immediate ownership. His lawyer didn't read the will very well and thought the same thing. The only way to get the share of the cabin away from him was for my niece to refuse her share of the inheritance. Even with that, it cost the $600,000 estate, including the house she left to them, roughly $30,000 in attorney fees to fight this. But we won and the cabin is safe. I don't know how much he had to pay his lawyers, but it was a lot of money. The situation drug on for months. The property Mum had given him sits directly across from the cabin. Out of spite and anger, he clear-cut the property Mum had given him and brought in over 100 tons of gravel, so the wooded area now looks like a gravel parking lot. This is directly next to the place where Mum and sister's ashes are scattered. The brothers had asked for the 3 burial plots next to my dad. They adored and idolized him. Mum is scattered at the cabin and she won't be using them, so I gave them the cemetery plot paperwork. But before probate ended, I had the plots put in my name and they are legally mine now. The paperwork they have is worthless, but they don't know it. I didn't tell the brothers and they won't find out until one of them dies and they can't be buried next to Dad. Honestly, I know Dad wouldn't have approved of what they did. He loved Mum and would be upset her ashes are scattered next to a gravel-covered lot, not the woods she loved. I haven't told them what I've done. Screw them. They wasted money from her estate and made Mum's resting place look horrible. They don't deserve to be buried next to Dad.
My mother has a clause in her estate that if any sibling disputed the will, they were excluded from the will. I thought it was brilliant. This is known as a Frank Sinatra clause. Gene Roddenberry, the creator of Star Trek, or possibly his second wife Majel, included one in his will, which in the end disinherited one of his daughters from his first marriage. Gravel on the surface is temporary. Weeds, grasses, then trees will grow there again. They'll have to pay to make it stay as gravel. Start planting and seeding native flowers in that area. It's not trees, but continuing to throw down cheap seed is far more easier and cheaper than having to clear up the spite property every season. And one will never know. I wouldn't personally do this, but the most petty revenge possible would be to tell the first dying brother about his cemetery plot on his deathbed. Dude, trade the burial plots for the land next to the cabin. Make sure they both know about it, so Brother 2 can pressure Brother 1 if he wants to keep spiting you.